Alright, so even with the best of the best being out of commission this week, we still had some great play as well as some entirely preventable mistakes. Let's get into it. So before we jump into MPO, because there's a lot to talk about on that side, let's talk about FPO. So even though it definitely looked like it was going to be a runaway race with Paige kind of dominating the field with round 2, getting about 12 under, the play from the top contenders were actually right up there, if not better than Paige for the final round. So starting out with Ella, it was definitely looking like she had her drive, her putts, her upshots all locked in. She was playing pretty phenomenally for her standards, and she's definitely played well here previously, so I kind of thought she'd play well. But that was only the case for the front 9. The back 9 was pretty meh, with a triple on hole 17 and 2 bogeys with no birdies on the back 9, effectively making her back 9 +5, and that is just not going to cut it. But up until hole 10, she was looking phenomenal and actually had a chance to take down Paige. Next up, the player that you've definitely probably not heard too much about, Emily Beach, throwing out of her mind, I would say, for her standards, and threw definitely better than I've ever seen her play, and that definitely shows because she finished 3rd, which is her first top 10 Elite Series finish as far as I know of, and it really showed because she had 11 birdies with a 60-foot throw-in, and you could just tell she was dialed in. She didn't really have to focus too much on every shot. It was just very clean, and she has that immense power with her lefty that really allows her to do certain shots that other players can't. But with 2 OB throws, she wasn't really that close to second place. And that would be, of course, Owen Scoggins. Now, I think Owen has done this thing where she just kind of plays consistently every single week, and that could not be more true this week. She had a 60-60-60. Which is 7 under per round, and that would be 4 strokes ahead of 3rd place. So she was definitely in that spot where she definitely was not going to do much of progressing more towards Paige, but she was definitely not going downhill. And it really shows that her consistency on the putting green gets her these amazing spots week after week. And on top of that, she had a 40% circle 2. Amazing stuff from Owen. But this was really just the Paige show. We knew after our 12 under in round 2 that she was probably going to take it home, and that would basically be consistent with what happened. Each had a 38-foot putt, 49-foot putt, and even though her scorecard shows a lot of missed opportunities with a 50% circle 1 and 2 OB throws, her round was still very good with a 6 under, and you could tell she was playing pretty clean and much more true to the standards that we think of as Paige Pierce. So I'm really excited to see that if Paige is actually back, that we will get to see a Paige versus Kristen showdown, maybe at European Open. That would be electric. I really hope we get to see some good stuff there. So Katrina Allen was basically out of contention, but she made herself really out of contention with a double on hole 16 and 4 OB throws, making it a septuple bogey on hole 17. She threw shot after shot after shot, and it was kind of hard to watch, but also kind of funny to just see a pro that is elite level do the same things that I think amateurs would do, where you just throw, you think you're going to get inbounds, and then it just doesn't happen. Now let's talk about MPO. So effectively, this was going to be just a 2-horse race. It wasn't really looking like anybody else was going to be close. Really just Emerson and Aaron Gossage. There was a chance that Cole was going to make some moves, but with his general still newness to the sport, I just don't really foresee him performing all that well in final rounds, and that was true here. He only got a 2 under with a triple and a double, just not really going to cut it. But before we get to Emerson and Gossage, let's talk about Ganon Burr. Now, it's obvious that Ganon Burr is elite level, but he was not really that close, and that is very evident in the fact that he is on the 5th card. He was way, way behind, but knowing Ganon Burr's play, it does not matter how far behind he is, he shows up. And he could not miss a putt. He had 100% circle 1, a 38-foot putt from circle 2, and I'm sure Ganon wasn't even really thinking he was in contention because he was so far behind, but lead card really wasn't making that many moves. It was getting pretty windy, and Ganon just could not miss. That was until hole 18, where he had a phenomenal shot, but then just kind of whiffed it on the upshot. I don't really know what happened. To me, it was looking like the most easy upshot for Ganon because it allows him to throw his pretty wide Anheuser shot, but that is not what happened. He threw a total spike hyzer. It went way left into the OB. He missed his putt and took a bogey. I think this is definitely hard to watch because it is so preventable. I know that he can make that upshot probably like 90% of the time. And if he were to make that upshot, then we very well could have had an Emerson versus Ganon playoff, but that is not the reality we live in. Ganon Burr took a boge, putting him out of contention. All right, so now for the real meat of it. It was a battle between Aaron Gossage and Emerson Keith. And honestly, it was looking like Gossage was going to take it away. He had so many good shots, so many good drives. You knew that the putter was going to be a little bit tentative, but even the geese were in Emerson's way, so it was looking like it was just going to be all good things for Gossage. It's the goose power. He has everything going in his favor, but that was ultimately not the case. Once it started to get a little bit more serious, you could see that Aaron was getting a little bit more nervous. He definitely didn't have the same consistency and confidence that you would expect him to have and that he did have in previous rounds. And on the flip side, Emerson was just throwing pretty consistent shots. His putts were going in. He didn't really have to overexert himself too much. And then in that kind of moment where Emerson's kind of getting better, Gossage missed a circle 1 putt on hole 10, hole 11, hole 12. He missed 2 circle 1 putts from hole 13, missed another circle 1 putt on hole 14, and that basically put him out of contention. Like, he still could have fought back, but I think he knew, I think everyone else knew that it was kind of inevitable that Emerson was going to win unless some crazy stuff happened. And that definitely does not mean that Aaron just gave up, but you could tell that his demeanor was such that he just wanted to have fun on the rest of his round, and he wasn't really concerned about winning anymore. And on the flip side, Emerson was just throwing amazing shots, making it a pretty easy victory for him. And this marks the first Elite Series win for Emerson Keith and his 75th MPO win, which is kind of crazy because he's not really been in the sport all that long, I don't believe. Now that this happened twice, let's just give a brief overview about what I think is going on with Aaron's putt. So clearly he has that phenomenal overstable drive that gets him elite level distance while still getting pretty good accuracy on every single shot. And this extends to his overstable zone for all his upshots, but the real issue here is putting. I think that any mistakes that he gets on his drives is typically minor and kind of random, but the real failure we saw at Worlds and this OTB Open is putting. I think Aaron needs to make a total rework of his putter. It definitely can go in from like 50 feet kind of consistently. I've seen him have some phenomenal putts on some Paul vlogs, but just having that very stiff, very nervy, upward tilting putt where it can just go way past the basket if it misses is just way too dangerous, and it does not seem to be consistent for him, especially when you cannot make your comebackers because you are so nervous. I think this is definitely a thing that will get better over time, and we know that Gossage is an elite level player. He can do amazing things even with a little bit of a bad putter, but I definitely think the biggest thing that he needs to focus on right now is his putting game because it does not seem to be giving him any favors unless it's a first round or second round where there isn't the same importance as it is in final round where you have to make all of your putts. And to go along with that, I just really like Gossage. He seems like a great person. I've watched a lot of content from him, but all in all, a great tournament, and I was so excited to see how it all turned out. I knew we were going to get some pretty interesting storylines with some players out, and that was definitely the case with an Emerson Keith win. I did not have that on my bingo card. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Wild Runs signing out. Peace.
Still wanted to run that one and made the comebacker there as well. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a round I think about for a while. You know, I've been thinking about this all day long. I wanted to shoot a good round so I could get an interview and talk about bigger things than disc golf, you know, like humanity. Just be nice to humans. Like, everyone's a freaking human being.